Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of SSL. This is the live version we're doing tonight. Ryan, of course, our other host, Typhoon. Typhoon,
How
how
you
you
guys
been,
doing
man?
tonight? I'm good,
Been
man.
a
Been a while.
been a little too long. I think it's
Yes,
time we need to get back on a more regular schedule or more what we're gonna do. So I think it's gonna work out.
agreed.
So we just want to wish everyone in the United States, first of all, a happy Thanksgiving and happy Thanksgiving weekend. I know it's today's Thanksgiving, but you might as
And
well
the
just
kickoff of Black Friday.
Yes, Black Friday. Yes, I'll be doing a live on my other channel again, I think, in the next few days. I did one previously about Black Friday sales, but I want to do another one. So,
Hmm.
what do we have going on today? A lot of news, obviously, since it's been a little while since we've done one of these. It's been things have happened. But anyway,
Couple
what
things.
so I think what we'll do first is we're going to acknowledge the loss of NHL pioneer and
Legend.
uh, legend, Mr. Boreas Salming, who passed away today at the age of 71. He had, of course, as most fans know, was diagnosed with ALS. Our hearts and prayers go out to their family.
I hope he's resting
Rest
in
in
peace, and
peace.
my condolences to the family as well.
Yes, absolutely. He was quite the player. Unfortunately, you and I don't think we didn't get to see him play live.
No,
At least I know
unfortunately.
I didn't. Even as
No.
a Leafs fan, I didn't see it in live because I was too young.
Being
Yeah.
71, 31 years ago, he was 40, so it's still impossible for me to see him.
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah. Yeah, being born in 1980, I mean, he was into his career with the Maple Leafs by then.
Yeah,
So anyway,
I was born in 85, so I didn't. There's no way I would have seen him play at all.
now I've talked to many people, and I mean, I've mentioned this name over the years, I mean, being from the Maple Leafs fan base, but the word I keep hearing about this guy, he was tough as nails for a Swedish player.
I've heard
One
that
of the
too.
biggest things is that he brought the toughness to the game that a lot of players didn't expect, I guess. That's what I've been hearing. I don't know. It's really interesting to see that the outpouring for this man when they did their tributes over the last 2 days there about a week or two ago in the Maple Leafs
That
Scotiabank Arena.
that game they had, like you saw how much he meant to even some of the players. You saw, was it Lanny who was crying or was it Clark?
Well, no, it was Sittler who was crying.
Oh, sorry, Sittler. Yeah,
It was Sittler.
Sittler was holding him up and crying his eyes out.
Yeah, well, it's was probably one of his best friends, and I
Mhm.
mean they played together for a long time.
Oh
And
yeah,
I mean, watch William Nylander if you ever get a chance. Look at he had his helmet off, and he was clapping the whole time, and he didn't stop. Now,
he's
of
a
course,
legend to him, of course. Like he's a
yes,
Swedish legend, right? So any Swedish player looked at him that way. Even Lidstrom looked at him that way.
you could say, I think he was the first one, right?
Yeah,
And he also, what was cool was is that when the game started, Keefe put on all the Swedish players on all at once. So Pierre Engvall, Nylander,
Sandin,
Sandin, all their Swedish. I think they have
Liljegren.
six because I believe they have six. So they put five on, right?
Yeah, the
And
goalie wasn't going to play.
well, no. Eric Shelgren played that game.
Oh, did
No,
he? Okay.
he did. It was really cool. Anyway, he put them on just as a tribute to him, and
Yeah.
I thought that was neat.
Let them play a shift and then get back to normal.
So yeah, Salming passed away today. So our hearts and prayers go out to the Salming family, and may he rest in peace. Now, what do you have for NHL news? Now, let's move on to the NHL itself. What do you have? Like, I mean, obviously, since we've been away for a while, lots happened. Now, what do you have in terms of, let's say, Montreal news?
Just in NHL news, I think a couple days ago they actually just changed a rule that any player who's come into the league after 2019 has to wear their helmet now during warm up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It literally just passed like 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
Right. Okay. Well, hey, I'm not sure what the reasoning is. I mean, but
It's safety.
it's a safety thing. Okay.
Yeah,
it would make sense, safety, but
like
just
because first of all, why are they skating around the ice with no helmets on?
right.
It's
Especially
very
if they're shooting while they're shooting pucks on the net and
exactly. And yes, they are some of the best skaters in the world, but it takes 2 seconds to trip and smash your skull.
well, and this is it, right? I mean, hit the boards,
Mhm.
the ice, all
So
that stuff.
that's a grandfathered in rule for any player after 2019.
That's a different that's a different rule, but okay.
Yeah.
I know that I'm looking here on TSN. It looks like Ryan Reeves. There was a few trades that happened over the last few days. Ryan Reeves, he was acquired. He was on the Rangers, and he's now moved to Minnesota, exchange for a 5th-round pick in 2025. Now, what do you think about that with Ryan Reeves going to the Wild? Now, I don't know the Wild's team well.
I don't really know because I don't know if they needed toughness really.
Well, they're
I
kind of that fast, small forward type
Yeah,
team, right? They're all skills, speed guys, right?
but
That's
I don't
kind
know
of
how
wild.
Reeves is going to keep up with the play. He's a 35-year-old ogre goon.
Well, he's slower, and he's there to make sure people know that
And
that
it's
don't
it's
mess
weird.
around.
It's weird because this trade comes right after they waived Tyson Jost.
Yeah, that surprised me actually that they waived him. I thought he was supposed to be this highly touted player from Colorado that got moved, but apparently that they didn't
I
feel that either.
I when I saw him come into the league, I always thought he was a dud myself. A lot of people were like, no, if you put him in a different team, he'd be great. Well, he got that shot, and clearly he was the same thing.
They didn't care for him. They put him on
hmm
waivers, so they
And they
didn't play
gave.
him.
Well, I can't remember what they traded for him either. I don't think it was a small trade.
No, we can look it up at some point, but I know
hmm
that he was moved, like as I mentioned in I
It was a
think a
deadline deal
previous
last
video.
year.
Yeah, what was a previous video or a video or two ago, way back? I mentioned Yost. He
Yeah,
said, "Oh, he got moved," and I said, "No, he didn't." He goes, "Yeah, you did." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
yeah. It
So,
was either off season or deadline. I can't remember which one. I think
right,
no. It was deadline because he talked about how upsetting it was that his team went on a run without him.
wow. Well, they had to do something, and obviously he's been moved. So, anyway, so yeah, Reeves has gone to the Wild, so that gives him the little toughness. Again, I don't know about his foot speed if he can handle it, but anyway,
I read an article today too about the Carolina Hurricanes.
what's going on there?
They're looking for a second line center. It sounds like Kotkaniemi's not cutting it.
I've seen a lot of things about Kakanyemi, and it's none of it's good. Everything's bad. He is
hmm
just not panned out
Um,
the way that they thought he would,
well,
obviously in Carolina or in Montreal.
I don't
So
know if it's karma poking its nose out and this is what happens, but someone overestimated, I think, and they put him on. Here's the other thing, though. Last night after the game, Brindamore came out and talked because they put him on the fourth line after they saw he wasn't cutting it. He basically said, "Well, if he can't do his job here, he's going to have to go to the press box, and sometimes you learn better from the press box."
yeah. Well, he's not working. Like I've watched a little bit of Carolina, of course, because I have a few players in my pools about them. Anyway, he has not looked
He
at all good since he's arrived, as far as I'm concerned. He's not
there's been a
stood out at all.
there's been a rumor too that he'd be part of the package if Brock Besser were to come there.
Besser. Vancouver wants to move Besser.
Uh,
Why?
they, they don't have the money.
Yeah, do they have to re-sign Besser, or did they
Yeah,
just sign him?
he's final year of his contract. Is it Besser? Yeah, Besser.
Sure. I thought
Or
he
is it
just signed and
I don't know.
extended.
Was it not Horvat who just extended?
Horvat. No, Horvat didn't extend. He's the one up for his contract
Okay,
this
maybe
year.
it's for Bo
And
Horvat.
he's having an amazing year right now. Oh my god. Yeah, no. I believe Brock Besser just signed a long-term deal this summer. Like
Okay.
I'm checking cap friendly there. But yeah, Besser. No, he's got 3 years left, 6.6.
Okay.
So yeah, he's good for 3 years. But I mean, doesn't mean he's not going to be traded, but it just
No.
don't I just doubt they would move one of their best wingers. I just don't see the point of that.
Well, it's
You
a
know,
centerman, so I think it's Horvat then.
yeah, Horvat is the center. Yeah,
Yes.
he's 5.5 and he's done this year. So
hmm
yeah, he's the one that's being talked about on a number of pundits have talked about his play. Obviously, with Bruce Boudreau, we can move to the Canucks for a few minutes. The
Yes.
Canucks have not had a great season. I don't particularly like what they're doing to Bruce Boudreau. Like I mentioned, I've heard this on a number of shows and podcasts I've heard, and I agree with the people that are saying this. I mean, Elliot Friedman was one of them who quoted this. But just like if you're gonna make a move, like if or one of these pundits, if you're gonna do something, do something. Don't let this guy take a hit and then say all these terrible things and then don't do anything. Like,
Well,
no, make
my
a move,
issue
do
is
something.
my issue is like you brought in Bruce Boudreau. You said he did a great job. It turned around. Blah blah blah. Well, how come if he's doing such a good job, you didn't give him any players to develop, and you didn't give him any players to try and build like do anything with a team. You gave him a roster in limbo.
Well, I don't get their construction, to be honest. I mean, they have a lot of young players, but for whatever reason, they just can't get it together. Now, I
No,
don't know, like Makayev was supposed to be a former Maple Leafs, Eli Makayev was supposed to be touted as this big goal scoring forward, but he hasn't really panned out too well. And I mean, I'm
that
looking at their roster
the
here.
new
They
guy
don't
Kuzmenko has been pretty decent.
Andrei Kuzmenko, yeah.
He came from the KHL. He's 26.
Yeah, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 ELC guys right now on their roster. I mean, they're pretty. They have a like Pedersen and Besser, Horvat,
Miller,
JT Miller, Connor Garland. I mean,
Quinn,
after that,
Hughes.
I mean,
Sorry.
but that's for the defense. But yes, so I mean, they have some core players. But the thing is, they have Demko, and I guess Demko's just not having a good year at all. Can't stop anything. He's having a tough time.
Well,
is that defense or is that him?
I think a lot of it's defense. Their defense is big and slow. You still have Tyler Myers on that core, and he's stuck there a long time. Ekman Larson, since he's got there, has looked awful.
He hasn't panned out at all, no matter what. Like, he just, this high hope. I remember whenever that trade was going to happen. And I remember they were talking about how much Ekman Larson
were drooling.
Yeah, but they should. But they would. It's like when you guys got Weber. I mean, I'm not comparing Weber to Larson as the same thing, but what I'm saying is that this is a perennial player, and these guys are. You covet these players, and you have them now. And unfortunately, he just hasn't panned out. Like it's like when FNUF came to Toronto, they bumped his tires, saying he's the next, the next Norris winning.
This, that, the other.
But she ended up being a captain. This is actually his jersey I have on right now. But the thing is, again, another one, like touted, and he played okay, but he didn't have, and sometimes he wasn't in a great spot. So his last year with the Maple Leafs under Babcock was his best because Babcock dropped him to the second pairing, and he actually played exactly as what we hoped, and he had a banner year, and then they moved him anyway.
He was a number 4 defenseman. He wasn't a top 2.
Well, also you have to remember the Maple Leafs at that time were a lot thinner. They didn't have what they have now.
Yes.
And they didn't have, it was Brian Burke's team back then. And it's Burke's teams were built a certain way. And I mean, he had high hopes for this guy. And unfortunately, they did okay, but he didn't pan out for the money they paid. So anyway. But I mean, coming back to the island, coming back to Canucks, like it's just wrong. Like, I mean, I understand the president's issue. Okay. I understand what he wants and what he's trying to say. He's trying to get going. But if you're going to do a change, make it happen, man. Simple as that. Just take a change.
I agree.
There's coaches out there that could easily come in on the interim, or even guys on the current bench that could take over the job, and then you reevaluate next year. That's just the way I look at it.
You just hired Bruce Boudreau.
Well, the contract's weird. I heard about that on 32 Thoughts about that. The contract's a little bizarre. It was it's one of these, we hired you, it was an interim kind of thing, and then they kind of had to evaluate, and they ended up keeping him anyway or something like that. And it was a bizarre deal. If I could find it, I'll let you know.
Here's the thing. You brought him in interim, then you kept him long term. So why would you replace him now?
Well, they already have, they're still paying for Travis Green.
Yeah.
Right?
So you're going to pay 2 coaches on top of the third one?
And that's what Rutherford's saying. He's like, I'm paying for 2 coaches now. I would be paying for 2 coaches plus all this. It's now up to the players to make the decision or make the choices. So be playing better. So anyway, Vancouver isn't very good right now. They're having a tough go, and they shouldn't. With this team, they should be decent. But
another rumor that's going out there is San Jose. It sounds like there's a chance that Carlson could be on the move.
Okay, so there's another player that I've heard. Ottawa, your team, my team doesn't have any money, so that's not going to happen, and they don't want to be. But the problem with his deal, as we all know, it's the term.
Yes, there's 5 more years.
Even if they eat, I think they eat. What I heard is if they eat some of the money, even 50% of his contract, the cap hit is still 11.6, if I'm not mistaken.
He's 11.6 now. If they eat half, it drops to like 6 something.
Is it? I thought there's something about his cap that wasn't. It wouldn't make sense if it would be any other way, but
yeah, he's got a high cap hit right now, and they would have to retain something, is what I've heard.
Oh, absolutely.
But do you really want to retain on 4 or 5 extra years?
Well, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now. He'll have 4 years after this, and at 11.5, and you know what? He's not the same Erik Karlsson as he was. He never recovered or bounced back from that injury on his leg. Well,
there was that. I still feel like today, one of his biggest things that made him grow in San Jose, especially, was Brent Bird's leaving. His ice time grew back to where he was in Ottawa. He's getting top power play again. He's the man again. When Burns was there, Burns was the top right
Oh, yeah,
D.
he was the man.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and he's now
And
the right D.
yeah, he's now the top right D. So he's getting his ice time back. That's why he looks like the Carlson of old, because he's playing his old role.
Well, you know what? We'll see if it's going to be an interesting trade deadline, because you're looking at, you got a lot of teams right now trying to figure out what they want to do, and we're going to move our show into this segment for the Leafs news and Habs news. So we'll start with the Habs news. First of all, what do you think of your team, man? Like, let's be honest. Your team you follow is playing kind of what we thought. Like, they don't have nothing to play for at the moment in terms of, beside self-respect and that. I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful for them, but I mean, I thought the goal for them was to rebuild. I thought that was the idea.
It still is the goal. Unfortunately, in some rebuilds, just like even you guys went through it, sometimes you have seasons where you overachieve.
Yes, and I've seen, yes.
I've already heard in an interview Kent Hughes say that regardless of where we are, we still plan to move forward with the exact same plan. So if they're fighting for a playoff spot, they're still planning to move those guys out if they can. They're not going to hold on to them or anything like that. So the plan is still status quo. It's been fun to watch. I keep trying to tamper expectations with a lot of Habs fans, letting them know that yes, we're overachieving right now, but we're also in an easier part of our schedule. I've seen the schedule coming up. It's not going to be very pretty.
No.
There was a poll on teams like the schedule after Christmas, and Montreal's percentage is like 0.5 with the amount of like the difficult teams are playing. Most of the teams they played this season, actually up to this point, only 3 teams they've played this season are in top 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, interesting. Montreal is an interesting team in terms of the fact that, like, it's almost like we said before, you have to rebuild because the team you had is finished. Mm-hmm. These young players are playing great. Like, some of them are playing great. Like,
we have a lot of prospects that never in my day have I seen this, are all top scorers in all their leagues right now too. It's weird.
Well, I mean, aside if your name is not Cole Caulfield or Nick Suzuki, I mean, who are the standouts beside those two for you?
Right now on the team, Kirby Dach.
Yeah, on your forwards. So Doc's supposed to be. That makes sense.
He's on Chicago right now. He'd lead the team in points. That's how well he's playing. Sean Monahan is unreal right now. That man seems to be the spark for every player that's a dud. They just keep putting the duds with him, and he keeps sparking them.
Okay. All right.
I think Hoffman is starting to wake up, and he's become a very important part. Mind you, he got hurt, but he's starting to play a big role. Jake Evans is a very key person to this team. But when it comes to but for offense wise, definitely Caulfield, Suzuki, Dach, Monahan, Gallagher, Anderson, and Dvorak have been very big. Dvorak has quietly scored 9 points in his last 11 games.
Now, the big question is then, in a true rebuild, they would just take those players and basically evaluate. And the thing is, who do you think let's say the 3 players on your roster, that you feel would be moved at the deadline coming up in 100%. A few months?
100%. Yeah. I believe one of our 3 veteran D will be moved. I keep hearing Edmondson is going out west, or Savard.
Okay.
Monahan, there's no way he won't be moved. Someone is going to come knocking for that guy.
If he's playing the way he is. And I mean, what's his points right now? Do you know?
He's got 10 points in 18 games.
For a guy that's always broken? Yeah. That's not bad.
He's a almost 59% faceoff man.
This is a first round player. I mean, this guy was a first rounder when he got drafted.
So if you need a third line centerman, he's your guy.
Yeah. And he's not that bad. He doesn't have any term left on his deal. So
he's 28.
Yeah, he would be a good, like when Plekanec went to Toronto type thing. Like
a rental.
A good
perfect rental.
A good rental. Yeah. If he stays healthy. But yes. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I believe Drouin will be moved at deadline. Someone will take him for a power play. He's not going to
really
fetch much, I don't think, but someone's going to take him for power play. He produces there.
Well, he definitely, I don't know Drouin in terms of what he brings to the table. All I know is, like, I'm looking at here.
And one player that he hasn't produced a lot yet, but a lot of teams that are actually asking for him is Dadonov.
Yeah, I was going to say Dad's going to be moved at some point.
Oh, yes.
If he's healthy again. Healthy is, Monahan, Dadonov.
Monahan, Dadonov, Drouin are the big, and either Edmondson or Savard are the big trade bait right now.
And what about the old faithful like Gallagher and all the guys Hoff or Dvorak? Would they be? I mean, I wouldn't say no, they're not. They anybody could want them. You never know.
I personally, if we could, I would move Dvorak. I would move Gallagher, but I don't see them being very desirable on the market.
And also their contract doesn't help. Like Anderson's got
Well,
4
Anderson
years left.
apparently there is talk that Anderson's drawing interest from Edmonton and Calgary right now, and New Jersey. Tony Marinaro mentioned today New Jersey.
Okay. Well, they're saying okay. Well, very possible. You guys currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 draft picks now. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling you're going to have 14 picks by the end of this summer, or when this summer starts.
I'm expecting at least one more first-round pick.
If a team's willing to bite in the draft, but the thing is, we have to remember this draft year is going to be one of the biggest draft years in the NHL, one of the biggest ones in 20 years. Would you want to part with a first rounder with a draft like that?
If the Stanley Cup is on the line and you have a shot to win, absolutely.
Okay, but if you're a Stanley Cup contender, yes. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, if you finish near the bottom, like if you are like at the bottom of the draft and not at the top, like, I mean, sure, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. They said it's quite deep amount of people.
I've heard up to 5 generational players.
Wow. Oh yeah, we're talking like Sidney Crosby draft. Wow.
More like it's even more talented than the it's like 03 on steroids.
Yeah, because everybody was a star in that first round. We've covered that before.
There was players playing from the 7th round up until like,
oh, I know. Yeah.
Like Bufflin was a 7th round picked in that draft, and
oh, I know.
And Halak, I think, too.
He was mental. It's crazy. Okay, well that's interesting. So you feel that the Montreal Canadiens you feel they're gonna continue to play this style of hockey all year and just pump up the tires and get their trade value up and then maybe move them later on?
This season is all about just development and sticking to the plan. They have a plan. It's in motion. This general manager seems to be very, very stern on his plan.
Well, they have to be. I mean, your team needs to do this. It's hard on the fan base to handle. I know that. We went through it ourselves. But in the end, it's worth it. Well, you're enjoying it because there's nothing really to worry about. If they win, well, cool. They win. I get to watch a good hockey game, and that's all right. It was fun. And St. Louis has a 3-year grace period. We all know that. His contract's a grace period contract. They're not expecting him to go deep in the playoffs of him making the playoffs. We know that. And the man's learning how to coach himself. So
I think one of the funniest things I saw with him the other day was when they beat the Flyers 5-4.
Yeah.
Caulfield tied the game with 1.9 seconds left. You just saw Tortorella with a giant smirk on his face, shaking his head.
Yeah.
And they asked St. Louis about that after the game, and he was like, I have too much respect for him. I can't say anything about that. He's like,
why would you?
And then they go, well, he had a big smile on his face. He's like, oh, did he? I did too.
Well, Torts is having a tough year. I mean, he stepped into Philadelphia, and
I almost feel like his smile was like, why did I take this job?
Well, I think Torts is going to help them. I think he took it because you don't expect your entire forward cast to basically go into the injury reserve within 3 weeks. Like, they have lost so many forwards, man.
He's got a grace this season. He's got 100% grace period.
He should. And the fans have been very, very okay with it for the bulk of it, as far as what I've seen. And why wouldn't they? I mean, you've lost JVR, Atkinson, Wade Allison, Couturier. Like I said, JVR is out. They just lost TK. He's gone for a number of weeks. He banged up his hand against somebody else. Like,
they have
Konechny's out.
Is Provorov hurt?
I don't know if Provorov's hurt. I just know that the forwards have taken the brunt of the hits.
Their forwards are depleted.
Oh, it's unreal. And the Lehigh Valley Phantoms have nothing left to offer.
They're the ECHL.
Well, now they are, but they're the AHL franchise in Allentown. But that's what it is. It's just the poor guys, the poor team. They just don't have anything going right now. They have nothing left to give. And the thing is that Fletcher's not going to make a crazy amount of trades. I don't think so anyway. Why would they? You don't want to deplete your.
There's no reason to. You're not losing because your guys aren't performing. Your guys are physically aren't able to play.
And that's what Tortorella said. He said we just don't have enough bodies to like do the job. And it's like, I mean, their offense is finished right now, and like let's hope for their sake they get a little bit of offense back. Like, and they're at 50 contracts of 50 right now, so they can't do anything but move players in and out of the AHL. That's all they can do. They can't go out and get anyone right now. And Scott Lawton's hurt. Scott Lawton's hurt.
Scott Lawton got hurt against the Habs. He got cranked.
Yeah. They brought up Jackson Cates. That's Noah Cates and Jackson Cates. They're the Cates brothers. They're on the team. But I mean, the injuries, like here, let me read the names. You got Atkinson upper body week to week. Konechny's out 2 weeks. Lawton's out. Let's see here. Wade Allison has a bad hip. Like it's crazy, man. Like they just have JVR has a broken thumb or a broken finger, I think.
Yeah.
Like it's mental. And they have currently 18.5 million on their long-term injury reserve. And they have Ryan Ellis is hurt too.
Oh yes, he's been out for like 2 years.
Oh, he's out. Like 6.2 million right there alone.
I felt so bad for Mark Pysyk from the Buffalo Sabres, I think. Is it Buffalo Sabres? Oh, Detroit Red Wings now. Did you hear what happened to him?
No, what happened?
He just was coming back from his surgically repaired Achilles tendon, and he re-injured it.
Oh my God.
He just had surgery on it in July.
Wow.
And he re-aggravated something.
That's awful. That's got to be the worst. Like, you're just getting there, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get hit. So.
I've torn it. I can't even think of damaging it a second time after that.
Just to come back to the Flyers, though, the only thing they're missing is their own second rounder and their own third rounder this year. Other than that, they have everything else for draft picks, including Edmonton's. They have Edmonton's, the Panthers, and the Rangers draft picks on top of that. So they have a bevy of picks. It's not like they don't have anything.
Yeah.
But they're just right now, the injuries are just staggering. I can't get over how much they're injured.
Their roster's hurting.
All right. So let's move on so we've covered the Habs. I think we'll move on to my team.
Yes.
The Infirmary Maple Leafs on the defensive end.
How's the D4, by the way?
Hurt. That's the word I could come up with. Just hurt. Hurt. Really hurt. And not feelings hurt. Physically hurt. Everything's broken.
If I show you pictures like a Rorschach, what would you say to each leaf? Each one's a leaf.
And what gets me is that they have one injury, then a guy comes back. So let's say like Matt Murray comes back in and he's been playing well. Then they get now, according to what you said earlier, before we came on here,
they made that minor trade.
They made a deal yesterday. They made a deal for Connor Timmins from the Arizona Coyotes. They picked him up for a prospect.
Curtis Douglas.
Yeah, he's a centerman. And that was a Lou Lamoriello choice, I believe. Anyway, they moved him along. And then after that, they ended up getting, what's his name? Jordy Benzo.
Yeah, he got hurt in the game last night. Now, with Connor Timmins, I kind of giggled when I saw he got picked up because he got traded from Colorado because of his injury-riddled issues, and he hasn't been able to pick it up in Phoenix because of his injury problems.
Well, he's got two problems.
You guys just picked him up, and he's literally just coming off IR.
Yeah, it's surgery. He had surgery so the guy had surgery. He's repaired up. He's healed up there. He has concussion problems that he had in Colorado, and he had other problems that he's had in the Arizona Coyotes. We need a defenseman. I mean, we need about 3. Obviously now 4 because we just lost Ben now again, and he's actually been playing well. He's done really well in Toronto.
Not a broken body.
Yeah, I didn't understand the idea of Timmins because of his injury issues, but they made the deal. I don't know, man.
Played, didn't he? Or has he not played yet?
No, he hasn't played yet.
He's supposed to step in the lineup like right
He's going to
away.
be in. He's going to be in tomorrow against Minnesota.
Hopefully he holds out for a game.
This is it. Oh, apparently, no, excuse me. Let me rephrase that. I just looked at the website. Mark Masters here says on a tweet, he said, Sheldon Key said Jordy Ben is week to week. They want to give Connor Timmins some time to get settled. He won't play tomorrow. Victor Mete was paired with Mac Hallowell today. So they're really going into the bottom of the AHL of the Marlies to get players. I mean, these guys, I'm sure, are great prospects, but still,
Some of them are career AHLers.
They have a grand total currently of $7.1 million on their defense core. That's it.
That's all ECLs.
7.1.
ELCs, I mean.
That's 200,000 more than William Nylander. The whole thing. All six guys.
All 6 defensemen cost less than $1
million. 200K more than William Nylander. Things look a little light in the defense in Toronto. Obviously, with my Leaf timeout videos I've posted on here and other stuff, they've clearly righted some of the ship. They were having a heck of a time there a few weeks ago, especially that Anaheim game that just looked dreadful. Oh boy, that was bad. Then they went off and they rattled off a bunch of wins. Now there's still some issues with the team minus the injuries. Like they still have, but they're not doing those super late starts like they were doing, or no starts in some cases, and the lackadaisy play that I saw. And
you guys got riddled with garbage the last night when.
Did you see that?
After the third called back goal.
So I didn't actually watch the game. What did you see what happened there? Like I know that
it was the third challenge called back for New Jersey for goals. So fans lost their
stuff, lost their stuff,
their stuff, and they started littering the ice with garbage.
Now, I was told the first goal was kind of like, is that really a callback? But apparently the other two were like clean kick in the net type thing. Like it was pure clean, no real. But I mean, let's be honest. If a fan base just got 3 goals called back in one game,
when you're on a 11-game winning streak,
when you're on a heater like that, do you really think they're going to just sit back and say, we're good? What's one loss? No, they're going to lose their mind. It's New Jersey.
You're going to have a bunch of what's his name there?
What's that?
The guy from Seinfeld. Putties. You're going to have a bunch of putties.
Dave. Still one of my favorite episodes of Seinfeld among many that I watched. But man, oh man, when that guy, he dressed up as the Devils fan with the painted face. Anyway,
I love when they made the playoffs the first time in years, a couple of years ago, and he literally made a video doing the devil.
Well, he was actually at the game a number of times too. So
he goes all the time.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah. So safe to say, poor Toronto. Defense is at a premium, to say the least. But you want to know what, though? I'm going to say something. It's not the only team that has this problem. This year is one of the weirdest upside down years I've ever seen. Like
such a year of parity.
Like, look at this. Like, let me bring this up.
How is Vegas, Boston, the 2 best teams in the league right now?
Yeah. Well, I don't know that. I don't know how.
Boston 17-3.
Yeah. So Boston right now is 17-3, 34 points. So look at the drop off though. You got 17 wins, 11 wins, 10 wins, 11, 10, 10, 9, 6, right?
Yeah.
34 points, 27, 24. But look at the goal differential difference in the Eastern Conference right now, in the Atlantic alone. Boston has a differential of 37 with Jeremy Swayman and Linus Allmark as your 2 goalies. Having
exceptional seasons too.
Ridiculous. They're 11-0 at home. They're perfect. They haven't lost a game. Okay. Then you got the Leafs at a goal of 6, then 4, 3, 3, -9 with Montreal, +5, and then -10 with Ottawa. And then of course you've got, like, look at this, New Jersey, +28 in goal differential.
New Jersey's having a rocking season.
16. Well, when you're bad that long, you hope you do well. Like,
eventually, you're supposed to be good.
You're supposed to play better. I mean, when you have every first-round draft pick for 6 seasons straight, you think you could,
win
do better. Oh, and by the way, didn't New Jersey win few of the draft lotteries?
Yeah,
at least one. They won a couple anyway.
Well, they got Hughes, Jack Hughes.
They got Nico Hischier. I don't think it was a draft. I don't think it was a lottery pick, but anyway.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. Oh, it was. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Hischier was 1-1, and so was Hughes.
Hischier. Yeah. So they won at least 2 of them. So 32 points, 26, 24, and then it goes down. But it's just like 28 and then 14, then 5-7, -15, -11 for the Washington Capitals, because that makes sense.
They're having a bad year.
They're 8-10. And then the Columbus, well, that's pretty standard, -25 and 15 points and like
I think they're
7
pretty
goals.
injured though too. Like Zach Werenski's out for season, and a few other guys are
Big
pretty banged
injuries,
up.
big injuries. Then like on, excuse me, Vegas. Vegas is having a
With
great
no
year.
goalies.
With who is this guy? You know, but look at them. They're stacked up front though.
Logan Thompson.
But but what do you mean Chris Osgood? I mean Logan Thompson. You know, when you have a stacked team in front of you, that will help. Like, but he probably is a good goalie. I don't know. I don't watch too many Vegas
Aiden
games.
Hill?
That's what I mean. Aiden Hill, who's actually, when I saw it in my pool, was like 300 teams picked him up and like 5 dropped him. I'm like, I've never seen Aiden Hill. No offense to Aiden Hill, but I've just never seen that before. Like, he was on San Jose for how long? You know,
he was on Arizona for how long?
Aiden Hill was on Arizona, San Jose. Pretty sure he was on San Jose.
Yeah,
I remember he was there. He was
they got
backing
him
up James Reimer.
They
right?
got him from there because they wanted they needed a goalie because both their goalies are out for season.
Yeah, so in the league, so whenever we say the top 5 is Boston, Vegas, New Jersey, Dallas, Toronto. That's the top 5 of the NHL right now. Good. I'm happy about that. But here's the best part. Plus 37, plus 25, plus 28, plus 20, plus 6. Toronto's a plus 6 differential. So
your goaltending has not been good.
Well, the goaltending's been average, but I mean, when you have no defense core to help things, then that doesn't help either.
Well, the defensive side of Toronto's game has been just nothing has been good for that.
Well, they're starting to play a defensive game now because of all the injuries, and they're starting to buy into the system. That's what they've been doing the last 3 games, so that's helped out. But again, we'll have to see. But anyway, the Maple Leafs, if they can find a defenseman, but you know what, man, I don't think the trades are going to come.
Not till deadline. Not till
not for a little while.
Unless they start losing a bunch again, they're not going to make a move on defense.
No, and I don't see other teams making a move either because they're trying to figure out where they belong, right? And as long as the season goes up, the teams that are trying to make a run for it, they're going to go and they're going to try to find players. So that I think is Leafs and Habs news. Let's move on to soccer briefly.
Yes.
Canada in the World Cup, isn't that cool?
It's been 31 years, 32, 1986. Yeah, 36
I heard
years.
I heard it was 36. Yeah, your age, 36 years. Yeah.
And it's they didn't just qualify to get there. They finished first in North America, which is quite a feat, beating Mexico and USA to do that.
Right.
They played their first game yesterday against Belgium. Belgium is the second-ranked team in the world. They were actually ranked first for 3 years before they finally got overtaken by Brazil.
Okay.
This is basically, honestly, for tournaments, when coming into this tournament, Belgium is a contender. This is their year. If it's make or break for them this year, basically, that's their core.
Okay.
Well, coming into this game, I was expecting Belgium to trance us. I'm not going to lie. Or trounce us, I should say. After about 5-10 minutes, I was watching the game, and Canada really took it to them. They took it hard. Canada played better. Even Belgian players after the game said Canada outplayed us.
Really?
They outshot the Belgians 21-9.
Now, did Canada deserve the fate they had, or because I've heard a lot of talk that this has been kind of a crooked kind of way to end it, and it was on a penalty. I think you even mentioned that.
There was 3 things that happened in the first half that went negative to Canada that could have been scoring chances. Well, first of all, we had a penalty shot in the first half, and Thibaut Courtois, the Belgian goalie, he's a 6'9" goalie. He stopped it.
Okay, so a tree.
Okay. Yes, it went timber and ball hit it. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Just big man, big tall guy.
That happened, and then a couple minutes later, someone got stomped on, and that should have been another penalty shot. They never called it there. Another foul happened. They didn't call another penalty shot there, and then there was an opportunity. Now, there was a Canadian player in an offside position, and the Belgian players had the ball. The Belgian player passed it back, and just like in hockey, if you're offside but the other team passes it to you, you're supposed to be onside. There's no offside call. They blew the whistle and called him offside on that, and he was in a scoring position. I was yelling. I was yelling when I saw that.
Oh, I'm sure you were. I mean, I would too. I mean, again, I didn't watch it, but I'm sure most soccer fans in Canada, I mean, all soccer fans again. I'm sure we're not happy there at that moment.
I am going to make
But
a bold prediction though with Canada. I did see Croatia play earlier in the daytime, and I was not impressed with them at all.
right.
Croatia is their next opponent. If they play the way they played against Belgium and they bring it to Croatia, they're going to beat Croatia easily.
The odds of Canada making it anywhere in this tournament are what? 0
Very
point
low. Um,
very under 1%.
yeah, well, let's put it this way. In their group alone,
Right.
they were at like plus 5,000, where who's in first? Belgium was at minus 800
Okay,
on
so
the
that's a
odds.
stack. Yeah, that team's supposed to win.
Yes.
Okay.
Um, and in reality, when I rank the group, it in like the way the group is ranked when I see it is Belgium, Croatia, Canada, Morocco, or it could go either or for those two countries. But Canada played with so much heart. They wanted it. They got scored on. They didn't put their heads down and quit. They kept going at the net, going at the net. Like this team is playing with nothing to lose, and you could see it.
Sometimes those are the most dangerous teams out there, right? Not to
And
say Canada's going to go far, but I mean, still, if you're in that mentality, it won't take much for you to play extremely well,
and it's really fun to watch when you're looking at the game with zero expectations.
right? Just the fact they got to the World Cup alone
Mhm.
is pretty impressive,
And
considering for whatever reason we've talked about this at the job
yeah,
that why Canada can't put a team together long overall in the World Cup is beyond me.
when you see US and Australia and England and all these countries who have the same type of immigration as we do, making it year after year after year, why can't we do it?
I can't understand it either. That's why it's never made any sense in my mind. I never understood why
But
Canada cannot cobble a team together for a World Cup. Like,
fans need to get excited now because, for one, we have this tournament happening now, and two, the next World Cup, Canada's a host, so we're automatically in the next one too. So that's two tournaments in a row that fans will actually get to see Canadians playing World Cup soccer.
well, I'm hoping they play well. I mean, let's be honest, the World Cup is not the most favored right now in the world. A lot of people are
No,
not.
it's not in a place that people want to be right now.
Just if we're gonna put it politely, yes.
Yes, it was hard to get fans out there for one thing. I read
Yeah,
an
you were
article.
saying
Yeah,
what did you see there? You said something
um,
about being
I
paid or
was
whatever.
I was watching a Turkish news channel with my parents, and it was on the sports, and it was mentioning that because of the rules that are in Qatar with drinking, where like it's 7.5 years prison time if you're caught drunk in public, and
Right.
most women have to cover up and things like
Yeah.
this, people didn't want to go. Qatar's first move was they sent out like to certain countries in Africa and like Asia to attract people to come, to pay them $10 a day, pick a team to cheer for, and you'll get food, 3 meals a day, and room and board, and just come and cheer. So randoms are just picking a team and cheering for a country, along with the few people who did go. Must be nice to have that much money that you could just
Wow.
hire people to
When
be
you
fans.
when you when you have money flowing like that, yeah, you can do whatever you want. And
We don't need fans, we'll
that,
buy fans.
yeah, exactly. It's like in Dubai where they have what, a ski hill inside of a shopping mall in the
Well,
middle of the desert.
all of these arenas too, by the way, are indoor with glass domes because it's too hot. They're all AC'd.
It's a desert. It's
Yes.
supposed to be
And
hot.
well, the biggest part of this world, the reason why they had to do that too is a couple of years ago, a world-class player physically dropped dead in the heat in
I
Qatar.
remember that. I
And there was
remember
a
hearing
big
that.
uproar of players saying, we don't want to go.
Well, I don't blame them. Why would you go if you're going to know that? Let's say you have a heart issue or you have physically something else going on, but you're still very capable of playing. Well, you go into 49 degrees Celsius heat, you know,
To kick
and
a
there's
soccer ball.
no. I've never been there. I've never been to the Middle East at all, but I do know that the
It's
heat
dry.
is it's relentless. It doesn't stop, and it just continues to bake you all day. So I couldn't imagine. It's like whenever Brazil, I think, had the Olympics, and they were talking about how hot Brazil was that
Yeah.
year, and you could
And
see the players were basically getting water dumped on their heads just
it's
to
it,
try to keep them cool.
It's funny you mentioned the heart condition thing because the guy who physically dropped dead at the Euros is playing in this tournament.
There, touche. I mean, what do you say to that? Like, okay, I'm going to keep playing, but you just said something, about Qatar and the Heat. Well, I don't care. I'm playing World Cup. I'm in.
I
Put me
didn't
back
die.
in,
I'm
coach.
alive. I'm alive. Put me in.
Put me back in. Put me back in, coach. All right.
But yeah,
Whatever.
overall, Canada played an exceptional game. I thought Alfonso Davies was a standout. Alfonso Davies was a standout to the point that he actually made me laugh at one point. He did an in cut and then cut outward on one of the players, and he deked the guy out so bad he just fell backwards.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, like
Yeah.
he played a great game. That kid, he played. That's really he's our superstar. He plays for Bayern Munich in the leagues, like in Germany,
Right. Okay.
and he actually was nominated for Player of the Year last year.
That's good. I mean, Canada's got some star power, which they need,
Mhm.
especially with all that's going on right now. And hey, and I mean, if Canada can make this work, I hope they do. I mean, if Canada's going to be involved in these major soccer tournaments, I would like them to compete, at least be,
Yeah,
you know, that
As,
way.
even if
But
they if even if they cannot like beat these teams, if it's a close match and they gave it everything, I don't mind. But when you see a team completely give up, I that bothers me.
yeah, well, that's it. You can't quit on the
Hmm.
team. You guys got here this far. This is huge. You got to keep chugging along, and
Yeah.
apparently they will. So
And one more note I want to point out, Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo has just hit history this year in the World Cup in his first game. He scored a penalty shot, which made him the only player in the world to ever score at 5 major World Cups.
wow. Okay. Well, that's impressive. Isn't he also going to like buy a bank soon? Because you told me his new contract because he's bolted from Manchester. What was
Yes,
that new contract you told me earlier?
and a
Like
team in Dubai or Saudi Arabia or one of the oil countries in the Arabic nations
Middle
has
East there, yeah.
yeah has offered him a 1.2 billion dollar 3-year contract. Well, that's what it
One
works out
point
to.
three billion for
Over
3 years. Over
3 years.
3 years. Not like 5 or 8. 3. Wow, that is some serious. Now you don't know if he's accepted this deal or not. You heard this, but
Yes, that's like 500 million a year.
oh, I can't even fathom that kind of
Or
money. I
sorry,
mean, no.
1.2 billion. Like, it's 400
Well,
million a year.
keep the money easy. It's 3 years. It's a $1 million. The $1 billion over 3 years is what? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1.2. It's 400 million a year.
Now I wonder what that is. Is that euros or is that in
That
US
I
dollars?
believe it's US dollars,
Wow. Well,
but
that's number one. Wow.
that's still like what, $1 billion, a billion pounds maybe?
And
Or
he's not. It's not like he's new to the sport. He's made money for a
he's
while.
37 years old. There's not much
Yes.
left in the tank there.
No. Apparently they were saying that when he bolted Manchester, apparently the effects were already feeling it right across the whole team. Like it
Yeah,
was a coup basically of him to leave. It wasn't supposed to happen, but
yeah,
anyway, he decided to leave.
he had issues with their manager Ten Hag there. He got benched. He then was in an interview with an English magazine and kind of bashed the coach a little bit. And
Okay, well, clearly there was problems then.
he was then told that basically he's not playing again.
Right.
So he just said, "Let's just end our contract and I'll leave."
He wherever he goes is gold. So
He has mentioned he wants to go to the US, but he also mentioned that if he does, he wants to go somewhere warm. He doesn't want to play in a cold. So it to
he's
me
only got
that
so much time left.
well, to me that just leaves Florida or California.
Miami or California. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a team in Texas, but I just know that
There is the
those.
FC Dallas,
If this
but
is Ronaldo, my guess would be Miami would
I'm
be
thinking
or
Miami because it's owned by
Miami.
Beckham.
Beckham will pick him up. Yeah,
And
I can
he
see
played
Beckham pick him
he
up.
played with Beckham for a short time when they were in Manchester the first time back 1,000 years ago.
Yeah,
Um,
carbon dating
yeah.
is
But
required.
yeah, like Ronaldo's been playing a long time. Like his first international game was in 2003.
Yeah,
First game for
23.
Portugal. He's 37 now, So he was 17, 18?
Yeah, he's been around a very long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, good luck to Mr. Ronaldo and enjoy the money because,
Well,
good Lord,
he's going to
that's a
get it.
lot
I
of
mean,
money.
if he's
Oh, yeah,
scoring
they'll
it,
pay him.
well, here's the thing. If he's still scoring at the World Cup, someone's going to sign him.
Right.
He's still got it. If he's scoring against world class, he's still got it. Remember, the
That's
best of the
fair.
best, the best of the best are at that tournament.
Yeah, this is the best it goes. So cool. Well, let's see if we can move to NFL. So we'll have the NFL, then the NBA, and then we'll finish up for the night. So NFL, the Steelers and the Packers, both our teams are doing great.
I think they'll both be in the playoffs this year.
Well, I thought Green Bay would, but I don't think that's going to happen, man.
Your division was supposed to be so easy.
Pittsburgh's 3-7, but I mean, we all expected poor Pittsburgh not to do too well.
We don't have a guy who could throw the ball.
Baltimore's got a good year. I'm looking at the stats right now, everyone on TSN.
Well,
here.
Lamar Jackson's playing for a contract.
Yeah, he's playing well.
He bet on himself this year because he's like,
I like players that do that. Honestly, I like players that say, forget the long-term deal. I want to go on the shorter term, but I want to bet on myself just to show everyone I'm just that good.
I'm worth it.
That I'm worth the money. I know some people, I just find that I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, he's playing great. They're doing well. They're at 7-3. That Cleveland's playing 3-7. Anyway,
our division is terrible.
Yeah, it is. It's not doing that great. Poor Houston, 1-8. Woo, not very good. We expected that, but
your division too. Like, there's a lot of teams that were expected to do worse than they're doing.
Oh, I know. Like I said, Green Bay. Like
Green Bears and Lions are doing well, but much better. Like much better than I expected.
Bears are 3-8.
I know, but it's still better than I expected.
Yes, I know. No, they're a -33 differential,
which isn't that horrible for a team who has 8 losses. When you think about it, that's not many points.
But Green Bay, man, they just can't throw. He can't throw to anyone. There's just nobody out there. They either have players that are hurt, they're all hurt, they can't receive, or they left. That's basically what happened. Like, they just cut Amari Rodgers out. They just got rid of. They had, obviously, Devontae's gone. Then they've got, like Cobb got hurt. That was a major blow, And Jones has wooden legs now because the guy has to run 800,000 yards a game because they can't throw. Here, give it to Jones. He'll just do everything. And I think even he got hurt, but he's okay, I think. But come on, guys. And yet Green Bay doesn't do anything, and they won't. And they had the trade deadline, and nothing happened. And even Aaron Rodgers came out on a presser about 2 weeks prior to the deadline and said, well, someone could make a deal. That might help things, and nothing. Like, zero.
I don't think they like him anymore. They don't seem to answer his calls ever.
It's just they just don't. I don't know. They just don't have anything.
How many
very.
How many times has he openly come to the public saying, we need these, I need this, and it's never answered?
Well, that was the argument right from the get-go with all of this contract stuff that went on last summer.
Mm-hmm.
It was the idea that he wanted more say in the team's build because that's what he wanted, because I think Brady had that when he went over to Tampa. So he wanted because, he feels that, the guy's got...
I think Brady had a say, too, in New England, the way that team was built.
Some, I think, but I think Belichick kind of ran the show there. But
I think maybe
in general,
I bet you he gave ideas as to players to try, and that's why they went and grabbed them.
Sure, and I mean Belichick's a master at that kind of stuff. But here's the thing: Green Bay doesn't seem to want to either listen to what's being said, and they're just constantly putting out the same stuff. And I mean, I've watched a lot of the games this year, and it's the same thing. It happens all the time. They just either have a lead and they lose it, or they just don't get going all game. They can't play. You'll see Rodgers now. It was reported actually yesterday that Rodgers has had a broken thumb since London, since week 5. He's had a broken thumb.
Why is he still playing?
So because he wants to go for it, man. It's in him. That's what he wants. But yeah, he has a broken thumb.
But you guys are what's the point of playing him in a losing season?
Well, it wasn't supposed to be a losing season. I don't think. And I think that's what it is, that they thought they were going to be there. And every pundit in the NFL has said that Green Bay should be on the top 5, and they're just not
Green Bay
because of
should have been
this.
leading that division with Vikings having a better season, is what they kept saying. But
Well, that's
Vikings,
yes.
but Green Bay should have been in top of that division.
Yeah, and they're not. They're third right now, and they're tied with the Detroit Lions, who, by the way, they lost to. And
Lions
they
put up a good
lost to
fight against
Minnesota.
Lions put
Yeah.
up a fight against the Bills tonight.
Oh yeah. So tonight, Thanksgiving, of course, they have their Thanksgiving night, weekend games.
Yeah, they have
Who's
two
got
they have two
the-
games today, or 3 games is it? I think.
I have 3 games right now, so I'm just going to read off what's going on. So New England's up 10-7, just finishing up the first quarter from Minnesota. Minnesota's at home. Buffalo won 28-25 against Dallas. Now,
Not
Buffalo.
Dallas against.
Oh, sorry, Detroit. My
Yeah.
mistake. Detroit. So Buffalo is interesting because the Buffalo Bills had an amazing start, but now I mean, I don't know if you've seen the same thing. They're starting to crack a little bit.
Since Allen got hurt, they haven't been the same.
Well, he's playing, but
I know, but he's been he has a partial tear or something.
does he? I don't know. I just know
something
that
with his shoulder or elbow or something.
I just know that they haven't. They're still winning the games, but I don't find them as dominant as they were a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I find them starting now. Granted, it's ebb and flow in a season, so let's keep that in mind. Seasons come and go. Like you have your highs and your lows, but I just find that Buffalo, like, they can't hold the lead. Like, did you see that crazy game last week with them that they played? Or the week before, they were playing against, it wasn't New Orleans, was it? No, it was the Vikings. So they were playing the Vikings, and there had to have been 5 scoring reviews in a row right at the end of the game. Okay. Then at the 1 yard line, was it the 1 yard line, the guy drops the snap and the Bills recover, or the Vikings, I think, something, the Vikings recover or something like that, and they go into overtime. And I'm like, and you just see Allen's face, like what do you say to that? I was watching, it was a crazy ending, and I'm finding that the NFL this year, there's a lot of crazy endings. Like the talent is so good now. It's every game is
there's
great.
Been like 2
overtime
ties this year.
Well, ties, overtime games.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of competitiveness. It's
I
great
love
to watch.
I love the new overtime where it's like one drive, and then anyone can score.
Right, and I think that's fair. I mean, to me, it's fair because you shouldn't win on a coin toss. You know what I'm saying?
And I like that it's like they kind of like play the half now. Play out the half.
Oh, absolutely.
It's but yeah, overtime's been quite interesting in football this year.
Yeah, and I think it's important, and I think the NFL has been a great league as always. They always are. I just find it much more competitive now. But like the New York Jets, 6-4. That's not supposed. Well, they have this new general manager, and this guy was pretty shrewd with his choices. Anyway, they've really done well. Now I know I don't heard about news about this quarterback. I mean, he's been not that great lately, but I want to bring this up in NFL. I want your opinion. Jeff Saturday. Now, Jeff Saturday is the new Indianapolis Colts coach. So this man, according to everybody, had no NFL experience, no college experience as a coach, and he only coached high school football. Okay. Now, the other part to this is that according to a number of parts I've read, he was offered assistant coaching jobs in the Colts and he turned them down. But now Irsay just said, you know what? I'll give this guy the job. Now, what's your take on that? What do you think about if you were an assistant coach in the NFL? What would your view? Like, there's been a lot of angry former coaches.
Well, here's the thing. It's a good person to ask is me, because look at the Montreal Canadiens coach. What experience
Well, that's why I'm asking, because he coached Pee-wee hockey.
Here's the thing, though. The way I look at it, a coach, you don't have to be knowledgeable in a game just because you head coached a team. How does one get experience without being a head coach?
Right. Well, I think like Bill
And
Cower for yeah. Go
some
ahead.
guys can be very, very intelligent people and just not coach. I've seen lots of people who know the game so well they just and when it comes to that, I don't want to coach.
Well, coaching takes a special skill, right? Because you have
Yes.
to be able to motivate people and
Hmm.
get them to buy into what you want to do,
Hmm.
right? Especially in the NFL. I find the
Oh yeah.
NFL coaching is I mean, they make it a day when they fire them. Like it's an actual thing.
Unless you're Belichick or Reed,
Well, yeah, Andy Reid or him or,
yeah,
unless you're like or even back in the day
Dick
whenever it was
Vermeil,
like Vermeil or Jimmy Johnson or
yeah,
or just anyway, just these things. I don't know. I posted a video on the one of our groups there about what he said, like what Saturday said, the team. Anyway, he looked like a head coach to me. I mean, he had all the right he said all the right things. He got the men all going. They thought, he gave proper kudos to the people,
hmm
that are deserve it. And, and then at the end of the thing he said victory Monday, so which means the day off. So I mean, like good for him. So I think it's a good thing
I
in a
have no
way.
issues with somebody getting a job who has zero experience in it if he knows the job. That's all that as long as they know what they're doing, I have no problem with that.
Well, the argument is that if he doesn't, he's never coached before. How would he know what he's doing? That's the argument, right? How do you
But
know what you're doing if you've never done it?
he coached high school football. It's
Yeah,
much different.
He's coached
Yeah.
something, but
But here's just because you coach at such a low level doesn't mean you do not have what it takes to coach at a high level either.
well, this is the argument right now because of
Mhm.
the fact that this hiring could change the dynamic of coaching in the NFL for years to come, right?
Yeah.
Because
Well, look at
they
St.
can hand
Louis.
it to anybody. Well, in hockey is the same thing. Like Martin St. Louis, like we said, he only had Pee Wee hockey for his son.
Mhm.
Like,
And he opened a can of worms with the NHL going in the direction even of hiring assistant general managers female. Like,
yes,
um,
exactly.
they Montreal hiring him as coach and bringing in an agent as GM
Yeah,
completely opened the door for anything that can happen for hiring in hockey from now on, and
right.
that will extend to other leagues. Other leagues will look for answers and go, well, I know this guy knows the game. He's never coached. These guys did it in this sport. Let's see what he can do.
Hmm. Yeah, well, it's a unique situation to me because of the fact that Saturday has no what he's like
Mhm.
to know. Like Bill Cower had a huge problem with this, and a number of other coaches or people on ESPN pundits
It's
and
the
stuff
old
that I
school.
watched.
It's the old
The old
school guys.
guard, yeah, the old guard, yeah, that are
They don't
not
have they
happy.
don't have a vision of evolution.
Well, it's evolving, and it's going to be interesting to see if other teams after this season's done, if they decide to go hire guys like this, or if this is just a one-off hiring and that's it. So,
I can see more guys getting hired this way.
because like right now, so the Indianapolis is currently they lost their last game. I know that, but not by much. They only lost, I think, by 1 point or something like that.
Hmm. He's
So
done.
they're
He's made them better this year since he's taken over.
they're 4-6-1 right now. They still have work to do. We'll see how he does. I'm going to keep an eye on him. Actually,
Hmm.
I'm going to keep an eye on his story to see where it takes us. But anyway, so that's the NFL. I mean,
And like here, if you want to look at St. Louis too, overall in his career, like coaching the Habs, he has a winning record,
right.
and he has, like I said, Pee Wee hockey coaching experience.
Wow. The thing is, the assistants make you who you are, right? He
Yes.
has the final play call, if I'm not mistaken. He would be the final guy to give the play calls.
Hmm.
But it's the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinators that run both sides, right?
Yes.
That's how it works. So
They have a
they're
playbook they
basically
follow unless the coach calls something different.
right, or the audible or whatever he
Yeah.
wants to do, right?
And just
But
like
no,
in hockey,
he's
it's the same thing. The assistants run everything for you. But
no,
in Montreal's case, you look at their assistants and they're also very inexperienced. You got Burrows, Ribeiro, and
wow.
Latowski.
Yeah, two former NHLers. I don't even know who the third guy
The
is,
third
but
three, no, no, three former
they're
NHLers.
three NHLers. Yeah.
Trevor Latowski.
But that shows me, like in Montreal's case, they know that this year's kind of a write off,
Hmm.
right? So they're willing to give these three guys plus the St. Louis a chance to actually do
To
better.
see what they're made of and what they can do. And
Yeah.
it's in Montreal's sake, it seems to be working because all the guys I've never heard them talk so highly about their a coach in Montreal before.
Thing is about Montreal, like you said, just quickly. I know we're on the NFL, but I mean, just to finish that up, it's just Montreal's. Yeah, they've got nothing really. They're playing for potentially either a lottery pick or
Mhm.
just to show respect to their fans base, like to
Yeah,
show that they're here to play. But
and
they're not in a position to be. They're not in a position to make any noise.
they're gonna try and bring in some more prospects, some more draft picks, whatever they can get their hands on.
You're in a rebuild phase. That's
Mhm.
all there is to it, right? But
It's
yeah,
and as I said, they have a ton of very exciting prospects that, like for example, Lane Hudson is one of them. He's at the same age as Makar in college. He's outscoring him at 18 in college. He's outscoring Makar's numbers. He got 12 points in 11 games as a defenseman.
that's going to be another thing. But we can go that in another.
Yeah.
I'm
And that's
looking
an
here. Yeah.
that's an NCAA too. Like you're playing against men basically.
I'll have to watch him. We'll make a note of him. That we
Lane
can keep an
Hudson
eye on his
is a
career.
guy I'm keeping an eye on too.
Well, now that I've heard of him, so
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles just come back to the NFL 9-1-0.
I know. How? Nobody saw that coming.
80%, 80 differential plus 80. Minnesota 8-2. San Francisco 6, and then it drops, right? So I'm just saying, yeah. Anyway, after that, it just everyone's kind of the same, but just Philadelphia, they're having at least their football team's doing well, so
Yes.
hopefully they can enjoy that. I mean,
Well, it's weird. Every time the Eagles just are randomly good every once in a while. It's weird.
well, they have good players. Past 5 games, he's been playing the quarterback position. He's got 15 touchdowns. They're playing they're playing my team next. Yeah, he's doing well. He's doing pretty good considering. 190 yards, 243, 285 completed there yards. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 touchdowns in 5 games.
Not bad.
They're 9-1-0, man. They're getting the job done. So,
and they didn't really have a team that looked like they were doing anything.
No. Well, here's the other thing. It's interesting. Their O line, he got sacked 3 times, once, 4 times, 3 times, 4 times, and they're still 9-1.
You don't usually get sacked that many
their
times.
Their defense is doing a good job. Let's put it
Yes.
that way. So, anyway, I think we'll finish up there with the NFL. But anyway, yeah,
And Mahomes is being Mahomes again.
did you see the Harry? Did you see the Winkler? The thing about him? Did you see
No.
that? That was so cool. So so Henry Winkler, as we all know, the Fonz.
Yeah.
Apparently, Mahomes is a big fan of him. Okay. so at the end of the game, they have a video. I'll post it on the Facebook groups. They have Mahomes running up to him and giving him a Winkler jersey. He has these,
wicked.
and then he gives him all the accolades, and I think you're a big, great person, all that stuff. And Winkler couldn't believe it. He was like, "Okay, hi, nice to meet you."
Like a 75-year-old man now.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a young guy anymore, and he's just taking it all in. You're looking at like Winkler, and he's like, here's Patrick Mahomes in front of me, blah blah. You know what I mean? But in reality, it's actually he's starstruck because of Winkler.
Yeah. Which is weird. There's such generations apart. Like, how would
I know.
Winkler be your fan? The Fonz.
Yeah, but he is. But he is. He must either watch Happy Days or maybe his parents did. I don't know. But anyway,
maybe he loves the football movie there, Bobby Boucher, the Water Boy.
Oh, possibly. Yeah, I don't know. But
being a football player.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he was starstruck by the guy. I laughed, but I thought, what a great move. That is such a nice move. And then there was the other move that happened. Like, I love these videos they show, just to wrap this up. I love the videos they show where the fan, like, where either there's the coach's speeches now or like these things. So Allen he ran over. They were in Detroit, obviously, because of the snowstorm. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this young kid was just, I don't know, it was something about Allen. Anyway, Allen brings the game ball and gives it to the boy. And then you can hear people like, sign his jersey. Da, 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 da. Anyway, he talked to the guy. Anyway, the kid, you should have seen the kid's face, man. Just like completely, like he was vibrating. Like he was just couldn't believe how happy that he just got to meet. Oh, he got a photo? Mahomes. No, not Mahomes. It's Allen that it was.
Allen.
It was Allen. It was Allen. It was AJ. Yeah. Anyway, he just couldn't believe that he just met him, right?
That's awesome.
And I love that about sports when people do those things. I think it's a great thing.
Kirby Doc did something like that before the Habs game in Columbus. It's some little kid. He made him the happiest little kid in the world.
Well, actually, what's interesting too, another note to that kind of thing is for a good feel good moment. Uh, with Jimmy Hayes' death, I was reading about. Well, I wrote about Jimmy Hayes' death. There was the Philadelphia Flyers all got together and they all went to his widow's house.
Mm-hmm.
So with his son, and anyway, he got to shoot on Carter Hart while playing mini sticks and all
Nice.
that. They
Well,
basically spent the day.
his uncle plays for them, right? So
Yeah, no, but it's
yeah.
it's
So I'm sure his
Jim,
uncle had planned that for them.
oh, Kevin Hayes did. That was the
Yeah.
point. Kevin Hayes planned everything, and they went over because I believe it was, I think, the anniversary or not the anniversary. They wanted to give the family like some
happiness and
a
fun.
good feel good day. Anyway,
Yeah.
they went there. They got a team photo. All the team was there, and they played mini sticks with the son. And I just love that stuff. I think it's great. So on that note, the last thing that we'll chat about quick is the NBA. What do you have for the NBA? I heard the Lakers are really good this year.
Amazing.
I heard they're so good that they're awful.
Yeah, that's an understatement. They
Like rotten awful.
They don't win very often, and when they do, it's like, how do you beat those guys?
Well, according to, they have won 5 entire games.
It's been a good season.
They're .313 winning percentage, but they're still, what is it here? The division. Okay, I'm going to go to the division here. They're still 5.5 back in their division.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah, Phoenix is 11-6, 10-7 for Sacramento, 11-8 for the Clippers. Golden State is 9-10. What is that? What's going on there?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but they're at home. So they're the worst, one of the worst road teams out there. The Golden State. They're 1-9 on the road, but they're 8-1 at home.
At least we're not Houston.
Yeah, but Houston's Houston sometimes. They just don't do well. Since Harden left, that was it.
Will Charlotte ever be good again?
Charlotte? No. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. That's the problem. I mean, the NBA, I mean, they have some of these teams you're like, but like, remember back in the 90s when Portland was important to the league?
The Portland Trailblazers.
Yes, with Clyde Drexler,
And yes. And
yeah. Clyde Drexler's the only one I really knew in Portland, to be honest with you.
Trying to think. There was some Europeans, I think, on there.
Wow, that was the San Antonio. That was their deal in the 2000s, right? They loved their Europeans, which is fine. They're good players. But like, I'm looking at the standings here. Detroit, here we go. Dwayne Casey with his iso ball beautifulness, 5-15.
It's working.
It's working. It's working exactly as expected. It doesn't work.
It's not 1997.
They are 1-12 in the conference.
Wow.
They can't even beat anyone in there. They're 3-5 at home, and they're 2-10 on the road. So they're terrible. And he still has a job. I don't understand. But here's like it's weird. It's kind of like the NHL. These teams that should be good that are not good. Chicago 8-10 should be
Chicago's not terrible.
No, but like Milwaukee's good because Milwaukee's always good.
Mm-hmm.
They have Giannis. That's all I need to say. Like Toronto's 500 spot on 9-9, but they've been damaged with injuries for the last little while. They just can't get any players to come back.
And they're in a playoff spot, so that's all right.
Well, right now they are. Toronto's they're 8th. So yeah, they're just but there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, like about 5 to 8 teams all the same spot. So it's too early to say. But the Raptors are they're just damaged with injuries. So they can't get going, right? Like I think I saw here they lost to Brooklyn tonight. They lost 112-98 at home. But like for instance, Barnes, Van Vliet, and Banton all out against them. So that's 3 big players, all gone. And then you got Siakam. He was unlikely to play as well. So I mean, like I said, they're all their top star players. They're all hurt. And Beverly on the Lakers was suspended 3 games. I know this guy, Patrick Beverly, suspended 3 games after he was ejected by shoving Phoenix DeAndre Ayton from behind.
Yeah,
cost them $268,000.
It's amazing how in like 3-4 years they went from championship team to there's nothing really left.
Well, okay, so as we've said before, we said this at the beginning a few months ago when we started this, when the season started. What do you do as the general manager of the Lakers now? What do you do?
It's not
You
much.
obviously you blow it up. You can't keep it.
Mhm.
You can't
But
say this is great.
basketball's weird that way though. When they blow it up, they literally just sell everything and buy everything new.
Well, the other thing too is you can literally buy a team every year if you want, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, man. Like it says,
I
like Clippers, Leonard and George have no return. Like these are all big name players, and none of them can come back. Like that's crazy, man.
they're all broken.
They are. They are all broken. It's nuts. I don't know what they're gonna do, but NBA has been. I haven't followed too much NBA news. I mean, there's
It's
like I said, besides just the injuries
it's been very quiet with the NBA, I find. Like you don't hear much from it.
right now. No, no. I find that like with
Like the
baseball, overshadowed it with
World
Pujols and what
Series.
he did. World Series, Pujols, and
I find
you know,
like since the news on the Nets and what's his name? Was it Irving or no?
oh,
Not
they yeah. Well,
yeah.
their
Sorry,
coach
Ben Simmons. Was it Ben Simmons?
Simmons. Well, Simmons was a problem,
Yeah,
but like for instance, Steve Nash parted ways, which you
they
and I
just
joked
got
about.
him
We just remember Kevin Durant went to the owner and said fire this guy
when
when
he
he
brought
went
him
to
in.
the he brought him in, and then they ended up letting him go anyway. You know, we
That
said that
team in
monster ego issues there,
yes,
which we said before.
I find a lot of the NBA players are monster ego issues.
Yeah, well, in this
Like
particular case, they have so many. You know,
I think the biggest problem with NBA teams is when you get teams like the Lakers were in the 2000s, or you get the teams like the Golden State Warriors. They're able to stay good for a while, but then it gets to a point where they all think they're the best player in the world and it doesn't work anymore. And
they did. NBA is
I
weird like
see
that.
that happening. I saw it happen in Miami. I saw it happen to LA. Um, every team that goes through it, that's what
Houston,
happens. Houston went through the same thing. Like
Houston.
um, the Spurs, they were amazing and now they got nothing.
Well, the Spurs naturally went through the cycle, right?
Yes.
The Twin Towers, they had them, then they added Ginobili, and they added not no, yeah, Manu
L-
Ginobili, and then they added
Leonard and everyone.
Parker and all that. They added all those pieces, and they brought in Pop, and then all of a sudden they were on boring, boring basketball, but it was lethal basketball
Yeah.
because it just they
But
couldn't stop.
what I mean by them is after they started losing, it just they can't turn it around.
It's going to be interesting to see how these teams recover from these major high wins and lots of wins, and then down they go.
Just crashing down.
San Antonio hasn't been relevant for a few years now.
That's what I mean. And then Lakers were irrelevant for how long, and then they somehow snuck a victory out in the COVID season, and since then it's back to square one.
Wow, you had two horsemen, and that was it.
Hmm.
And they did everything. The thing is, too, is the Lakers in their case. I mean, the Lakers. It's going to come down to ownership and if they can handle this kind of stuff for long. And I don't think they can. I don't. They don't strike me as an organization that's going to say, you know what, I'm okay with being crappy for 20 more years,
No,
let
they won't.
alone 5.
They can't handle 2 years of crappy.
No, because that's the Lakers. That's the way they are, and that's just the pride of that organization.
Mhm.
They like to win, and they like to win a lot, and that's when you see the Shaq Kobe era and how great that was with Phil Jackson, and then you had all the '80s, and '70s, and you had it
Mhm.
goes on and on. The Lakers are a perennial
Champion team.
top end, and NBA team. It's a championship team. You're not going to see this team on the sidelines. Be like seeing the Yankees or the Red Sox losing for 20
It's
years. I just
it's
don't see it happening.
unacceptable in basketball for the Celtics
Right.
or the Lakers to be bad ever.
Right. So they're going to do what's necessary. So I think your team is going to be a gut job by the end of this season, and they're going to bring in a whole new crop of players that are going to build the team up.
I
Simple as
feel
that.
like it's going to be a signing though repair job, not a
Oh no, they're not going to draft. They will never.
sign
They'll
and
have
trade,
to.
sign and trade, sign and trade.
They're going to have to take. They're going to have to find players on the open market they can bring in and to help shore up the team while they continue to draft.
Westbrook has been an awful acquisition.
No, he hasn't worked out for you. There's no question about it.
I would say Anthony Davis too, but he's been more useful than Westbrook.
And in the Raptors case, they're just trying to keep their young players going, and they just do that. They're just right now, the Raptors, in my opinion, are requiring some players like you're saying, guys that are maybe not veteran players, but guys that are stars. Like when they lost Kawhi, the team, Kawhi was the extra piece, and they got them going. And it was a shame Kawhi didn't stay, but he decided not to, and that's his choice. He's got that right, and whatever, that's okay with me.
What your guys are trying to, like, what Nurse is trying to do is he's trying to make when Kawhi was there, the young core be the core now, but they're just not there yet.
No, they're not, and I don't see it either. I mean, like with what I have watched, I just they have like flashes of greatness, but then they have others.
It's the young, it's being young and inconsistent is what it is.
Yeah, they're inconsistent. Like, I mean, 9-9, I believe this year is because of the injuries quite a bit. Injuries only go so far. I mean, but they're going to have, like, they got into the playoffs last year, which I didn't think they would, but they did. And they actually finished like 5th in the entire conference, which was great. But then they just got rolled in the playoffs in like no time. But anyway, that was kind of expected. But
they were expected to be a little better, but they didn't pan out that game at all.
No. So I think what we'll do, I'm just going to do just a quick shout out to a couple of local things that are going on around our area just before we close up for the night. So in minor league football, the St. Joe's Panthers, it's a local high school in the city of Cornwall, won the championship yesterday, I believe. Or
they were in the Quebec League apparently.
Well, they had the Castle. They were playing against Castleman, which is a little community north of the city where we are.
And according to Coach, he wanted to be in the Ottawa League, but they put him in the Quebec League, which he felt they were way too good for, to be honest.
Well, I watched it. I didn't watch games, obviously, but I mean, I checked in a little bit, and my nephews played on that team. Anyway, they rolled pretty much every team, a number of teams they played.
That team beat them.
Yeah, and that team was the one they lost, and they should have won, and they actually got beat. Anyway, they ended up. I'm not sure what the score was. I just know that they won.
It was yesterday. It was by one score apparently.
One play. Well, that's either way, they got the win, so that's great. So hats off to them. Hats off, obviously, to my nephews and all his teammates.
And
congratulations
Coach, by the way,
on a great win. Yes.
For all you guys not knowing, the coach of that team is actually our coworker.
Yeah, he's a coworker. Yeah. So it's great that to see them pull off a nice victory like that for that school. So great to see that. The other thing I want to bring up before we finish is Cornwall is going to be hosting the Junior World Challenge. It's a hockey tournament that's held every year. Cornwall was supposed to host it in 2020, but due to the pandemic, they ended up having to cancel it. So they're rehosting it this year. So there's going to be a number of games. It starts on December 11th and it goes all the way to December 18th. So if anybody who's watching wants to watch some Junior A world across the world, these are the teams that Junior A would be in the range of underneath the OHL style or that level. But these guys can go into the OHL if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
or they go to college or university. That's kind of what they tend to do as well.
Yeah, it's the Junior A is one level below Major Junior.
Right, that's right. So
and Major Junior is the OHL.
Right. So these guys will some could get in there, but a lot of them will go to college, university for scholarship.
A lot of them too are prospects of the OHL.
Correct. Yes, that's right. So the Worlds are coming to Cornwall, Ontario to play. So again, anybody who's watching, if you live in the area, December 11th to December 18th, they're going to have a number of games. There's packages on their website. We can even put that in the description below whenever we post the video. Well, when we finish up the video editing. So anyway, but yeah, pretty cool. So we had some local stuff to bring up, but I think that's it, man. I think that's it. We'll stop tonight.
Yeah, that's good.
I felt good. What do you think? Want to do some more of these?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I want to. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Bless you, sir. Woo. Bless you.
I'm a three sneeze man.
You're a three sneeze. You're a three sneeze guy. There you go. Now, anyway, I think this is fun. I want to get back into this, of course. I mean, I'm going to continue with my Leafs timeout videos. If anybody's watched, I've done those. I'm going to continue. Typhoon will be running the Canadians corners. He
I
has
will
one
be
video
getting
up
back to that.
currently.
I'll be getting back to that soon. I was had a lot of stuff going on and kind of fell
That's
behind, but we'll get back to that very soon.
Yeah, it's nice to have both. Bless you. It's nice to have both. So
Yeah,
anyway,
for
we'll
sure.
see if we can get that going. But like I said, we'll be doing more of these videos as the sports continues to happen.
Hmm.
So with that, I want to thank you very much, man. Thanks for joining and having a chat.
Yes, thanks for doing this again, and it was nice to talk about sports again. It's been, like I said, it's been a while, and lots of
Great.
cool stuff going on. Like I said, the World Cup with Canada,
Mhm. Yeah.
surprises in the NHL everywhere.
Wow. It's going to continue the stories.
Yes.
So thanks very much everybody for watching. If you like what we're doing with our content, please hit like or subscribe. If you want to get more notifications on what we do, hit the notification bell on the right. And with that, everybody, thanks again for watching, and we will see you in the next video or live.
Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night.